The text arrived on December 10th, 2 weeks before Christmas. I was in my corner office on the 42nd floor of the Hancock Tower, reviewing Q4 projections for my company when my phone buzzed. "Mom, Emily, we need to talk about Christmas." I set down the financial report. My assistant, Marcus, glanced through the glass door, but I waved him off. "Mom, Jason's fiancée, Victoria, comes from a very prominent family. Old money. The Ashworths of Boston. Mom, her family will be joining us for Christmas dinner this year. Mom, we think it would be better if you didn't come." I stared at the message for a long moment. Outside my window, Boston's financial district glittered in the winter afternoon light. I could see the building where my brother Jason worked as a junior analyst, 14 floors below where I sat. Me, why? The typing bubble appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Dad, honey, Victoria's family is very traditional. Very successful. They run investment firms, sit on museum boards. Dad, Jason told us Victoria is a bit nervous about meeting extended family. She's worried about differences in lifestyle. Mom, you're still in that tiny apartment in Allston, right? And you said you were between jobs last month." "Mom, Victoria might ask questions. We just don't want you to feel uncomfortable." "Mom, it's really for your own good." I read it twice. Then a third time. Between jobs. I'd told them that 6 months ago when I was transitioning from my role as VP of Product Development to CEO of my own company. I'd never corrected the misunderstanding because, honestly, I'd enjoyed the peace of building something without their constant questions and judgment. Me, understood. "Mom, thank you for being mature about this. We'll do something in January. Just us." "Jason, thanks sis. This means a lot. Victoria's really stressed about impressing her family." I set the phone down and returned to my financial projections. We'd just closed our Series C funding round. $180 million. The Forbes reporter had been particularly interested in the fact that we'd achieved profitability within 2 years, unheard of in the biotech sector. Marcus knocked. "The photographer from Forbes is here for your cover shoot. Should I send them to the conference room?" "Give me 5 minutes." I looked at my phone one more time. Between jobs. Tiny apartment in Allston. I hadn't lived in Allston for 3 years. I'd bought a penthouse in Back Bay 18 months ago. 4,000 square feet overlooking the public garden. But I'd never mentioned it. Just like I'd never mentioned the company. Or the funding rounds. Or the Forbes 30 under 30 recognition that was about to go public. I wasn't hiding exactly. I was watching. Growing up, I was always the problem child. Not because I caused problems, because I asked too many questions. Why do we have to invest in that fund? I asked Dad at 14, looking at his portfolio statements. "Because it's safe," he said, not looking up from his newspaper. "But the fees are 2.3% annually and the returns barely beat inflation. You could do better with index funds." He'd laughed. "Not the good kind. The dismissive kind. Emily, stick to your schoolwork. Finance is complicated." Jason, 3 years older, had smirked from across the table. "She probably doesn't even know what inflation means." I knew exactly what it meant. I also knew our father was paying someone $30,000 a year to underperform the market by 2 percentage points. But I'd learned not to argue. In high school, I started a small online business selling custom chemistry notes. Within 6 months, I was making $3,000 a month. More than most adults in part-time jobs. I mentioned it once at dinner. "That's nice, honey," Mom had said. "But don't let it distract from college applications. You need to focus on getting into a good school. Though probably not finance," Dad added. "You don't really have the personality for it." Intense. "Maybe teaching." Jason had gotten into Wharton. I'd gotten into MI. You'd think that would be celebrated equally. It wasn't. "Teaching school," Dad had said at Jason's celebration dinner. "MIT is wonderful for that." "I'm studying bioengineering and business," I'd corrected. "Right, but realistically you'll probably end up in education or maybe hospital administration. Jason's the one who'll really make waves in business." I'd stopped trying to correct them around my sophomore year. When Jason graduated and got his analyst position at Brighton Capital, the family threw a party. 40 people. Catered. Dad gave a speech about the next generation of Ashworths in finance. When I graduated summa cum laude with dual degrees and 3 patent applications already filed, we went to dinner. Just the 4 of us. Applebee's. So what's next? Mom had asked. Job hunting. I've been offered a VP position at a biotech firm. Oh, how nice. What does a VP make these days? 70,000. The offer is $180,000 base plus equity. Silence. Well, Dad had finally said. Those startup jobs are so unstable. Very risky. You should probably keep looking for something more secure. Jason had gotten his first bonus that year. $15,000. Dad had it framed. I took the VP job. I was 22 years old and the youngest person in the C-suite. Within 18 months, I'd led the development of a diagnostic platform that reduced testing time for certain cancers from 3 weeks to 48 hours. I mentioned it once at Thanksgiving. That's wonderful, dear, Mom had said. Jason, tell everyone about your promotion to senior analyst. The senior analyst promotion came with a $5,000 raise. My patent licensing had just earned me $2.3 million. I stopped mentioning work entirely. 2 years ago, I'd left the VP position to start my own company, Meridian Diagnostics. The idea was simple. Point-of-care diagnostic devices that hospitals could use for real-time cancer markers, infection panels, and genetic screening. No more sending samples to labs. No more 3-week waits while patients spiraled into anxiety. I'd bootstrapped with my patent money, then brought in 3 former colleagues as co-founders. We incorporated in Delaware, got lab space in Cambridge, and started building. The first 6 months were brutal. 18-hour days. Sleeping on the couch in my office. Living on coffee and the kind of takeout that comes in styrofoam containers. I told my family I was between jobs, because it was easier than explaining startup equity, burn rates, and FDA approval timelines to people who thought my brother's $85,000 analyst salary was the peak of success. Month 7 we had our first prototype. Month 9 we closed our first hospital contract. $2.8 million. Month 12 series of funding. $25 million led by Summit Ventures. Month 15 FDA approval for our first device. Month 18 I bought the penthouse. 4,000 square feet. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Private elevator. $4.2 million in cash. I didn't tell anyone. I used my old Alston address for family mail. Month 20, Series B. $78 million. Month 22 we hit profitability. Unheard of for a biotech startup. Our devices were in 40 hospitals across 6 states. Revenue, $43 million annually and climbing. Month 24 3 weeks ago, Series C closed. $180 million at a $1.2 billion valuation. We were a unicorn. I was a 26-year-old CEO of a unicorn company. And then Forbes called. We're doing our 30 under 30 issue, the reporter had said. Healthcare category. Your story is remarkable. Youngest female CEO to achieve unicorn status in biotech. We'd like you on the cover of the healthcare section. The interview happened 2 weeks ago. The photo shoot yesterday. The issue was scheduled to hit newsstands and go online December 25th. Christmas morning. The Friday before Christmas I attended our company holiday party. 200 employees packed into a venue in the seaport. Catered by one of the best restaurants in Boston. Open bar. Bonus announcements that had people crying with joy. Marcus approached with champagne. Your family doesn't know any of this, do they? Nope. Are you going to tell them? Eventually. Maybe. That text from your mom was brutal. I'd shown him the Christmas uninvitation during a weak moment. Marcus had been with me since month 3. First hire, now chief operating officer and my closest friend. It's fine, I said. I'll work through Christmas. Catch up on research papers. Emily. It's not fine. It's really not, said a voice behind me. Dr. Sarah Chin, our chief medical officer and co-founder, joined us with her husband. I've been thinking about this since you told me. They uninvited you because they're embarrassed of you. They think they're protecting me from embarrassment. Do they know you own a company worth over $1 billion? They think I'm unemployed. Sarah's husband, a lawyer, shook his head. That's not just ignorance. That's willful blindness. They see what they want to see, I said. Jason's doing well by conventional standards. 6-figure job, nice fiancée from a good family. I'm the weird science kid who asks too many questions. You're the CEO of the fastest growing diagnostic company in the country, Marcus said. They don't know that. Maybe they should. I sipped my champagne. Through the windows, Boston Harbor sparkled with Christmas lights from the surrounding buildings. The Forbes issue drops Christmas morning, I said slowly. Digital edition goes live at 6 a.m. Eastern. Sarah's eyes widened. Oh my God. They're having Christmas brunch at 11. Big family affair. Jason's fiancée's family will be there. All the cousins. Everyone who's ever dismissed me. Marcus started grinning. You're not going to tell them. Nope. You're going to let them find out with everyone else. Yep. Emily, Sarah said carefully. Are you sure? This is going to be nuclear. I thought about every dismissive comment. Every time Dad talked over me about finance. Every time Mom changed the subject when I mentioned work. Every time Jason smirked like I was playing pretend at business. Every time they made me feel small. I'm sure, I said. I'm not hiding anymore. I'm just not announcing. There's a difference. The week before Christmas I made some preparations. First I called my lawyer David Rothstein from Gunderson Detmer. I need you to prepare some documents for me, I said. Just in case. In case of what? In case my family tries to claim they deserve equity or money or had some role in my success. David was quiet for a moment. Emily, are you expecting them to sue you? I'm expecting them to be angry when they find out they uninvited a billionaire from Christmas dinner. Jesus. I'll prepare a full accounting of your bootstrap financing, the timeline showing zero family investment or involvement, and a cease and desist template in case anyone tries to claim otherwise. Perfect. Second, I called my accountant. Melissa, I need a full breakdown of every dollar. Where it came from, how it was earned, what I own. Simple language. 1-page summary. Planning to show someone? Maybe. Just want it ready. She emailed it within an hour. Emily Ashworth, net worth summary. Asterisk Meridian Diagnostics equity. 72% ownership $864 million. Asterisk real estate, primary residence $4.2 million. Asterisk investment portfolio, $8.7 million. Asterisk patent royalties, annual $400,000. Asterisk cash/liquid, $3.1 million total, $880.4 million. Funding sources. Asterisk personal savings from VP salary, $180,000, initial bootstrap. Asterisk patent sale proceeds, $2.3 million, initial bootstrap. Asterisk Series A, B/C, $283 million, external investors, zero family involvement. Asterisk revenue/profits, $43 million annually. Family financial contribution, $0. I printed it and locked it in my office safe. Third, I checked with Forbes. The digital edition goes live when? December 25th, 6 a.m. Eastern. Print copies hit newsstands in major cities around 7 a.m. And the social media announcement? We'll post on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at 6 a.m. The healthcare cover story will likely trend. Youngest female biotech CEO to unicorn status is a big deal. Perfect. Thank you. Finally, on Christmas Eve I did something petty. I sent a text to the family group chat. Me, Merry Christmas everyone. Enjoy your brunch tomorrow. I'll be thinking of you. Mom, Merry Christmas honey. We'll miss you. Jason, thanks Em. We'll do something in January for sure. Dad, Merry Christmas sweetheart. I wondered if they'd still be calling me sweetheart by noon tomorrow. Christmas morning my alarm went off at 5:45 a.m. I made coffee, settled into my living room couch and opened my laptop. At exactly 6 a.m. Forbes published the digital edition. The cover loaded on my screen. My photo, professional and confident in a navy suit, standing in our lab with the Boston skyline behind me through the windows. The headline read, "The Fastest Path to Unicorn. How Emily Ashworth, 26, built a billion-dollar diagnostic empire in 2 years." The subheading, "From MIT grad to CO, the youngest woman to achieve unicorn status in biotech revolutionizes cancer diagnostics." I refreshed Forbes' Instagram. The post appeared. I refreshed LinkedIn. There was. I refreshed Twitter. Trending in Boston already. My phone started buzzing. Texts from colleagues, investors, friends. Congratulations poured in. Marcus, it's live. Holy shit, Em, you look like a boss on that cover. Sarah, I'm crying. You deserve all of this recognition. Merry Christmas, CO. My phone kept buzzing. Investors. Board members. Former professors. People I'd worked with years ago. But nothing from my family yet. They were probably still sleeping. Christmas brunch wasn't until 11. I worked on research papers. Read through patent applications. Answered emails. Just another Christmas morning for someone who'd been uninvited from family celebrations. At 9:47 a.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Is this Emily Ashworth? A woman's voice. Tense. Speaking. This is Catherine Ashworth. Victoria's mother. I sat up straighter. Victoria's mother. Jason's fiancée's mother. Old money Ashworth family. Hello, Mrs. Ashworth. I'm calling because something rather extraordinary has happened this morning. My husband was reading Forbes over coffee and noticed the cover story. She paused. Is that you? Yes, ma'am. The Emily Ashworth who founded Meridian Diagnostics? Yes, ma'am. Another pause. Longer. Are you the same Emily Ashworth who is engaged to marry my daughter Victoria's fiancée's sister? I'm Jason Ashworth's sister, yes. And you're the CEO of a billion-dollar company. The company is valued at $1.2 billion as of our last funding round, yes. I see. Her voice was careful. Controlled. Jason and Victoria are at your parents' home right now for Christmas brunch. Were you invited to this gathering? The question hung in the air. No, ma'am. I was told it would be better if I didn't attend. Something about Victoria being nervous about family differences. The silence was deafening. I see, she finally said. Miss Ashworth, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. My daughter was under the impression that Jason's family was, well, we were given certain information that appears to have been inaccurate. What information was that? We were told you were unemployed and living in rather modest circumstances. Victoria was concerned about. I'm embarrassed to even say this now. Say it. She was concerned about the family appearing too mixed in terms of success levels. She comes from a family where everyone is highly accomplished, and she wanted Jason's family to reflect that same level of achievement to my husband and me. I closed my eyes. So Jason told her I was a failure. In so many words, yes. And your parents seemed to agree it would be better if you weren't present. I see. Miss Ashworth, I'm looking at this Forbes article right now. It says you bootstrapped this company with patent money you earned from research you conducted at 23. It says you've revolutionized cancer diagnostics. It says you're the youngest woman in history to achieve this level of success in biotech. That's accurate. Then I believe I need to have a rather serious conversation with my daughter about the character of the man she's planning to marry. My doorbell rang. I'm sorry, Mrs. Ashworth, someone's at my door. Of course. Miss Ashworth? Merry Christmas. And congratulations. What you've built is extraordinary. She hung up. I walked to my door and checked the camera. My cousin Rachel stood there holding her phone looking stunned. I opened the door. Rachel's voice cracked. Is this real? She held up her phone. The Forbes cover. It's real. You're a billionaire? On paper. Most of it's equity. Holy shit. She walked into my penthouse looking around like she was seeing it for the first time, because she was. When did you move here? 18 months ago. This place is. This is a $4 million penthouse. 4.2. She sank onto my couch. Everyone's freaking out. Aunt Linda posted the Forbes article in the family group chat asking if this was you. Your mom started calling everyone. Uncle Tom is losing his mind because he just invested in some biotech fund last week and wants to know if he can get into Meridian. Cousins are blowing up Instagram. What about my parents? Rachel looked at me seriously. They uninvited you from Christmas. Because they thought you'd embarrass Jason. And you're literally on the cover of Forbes as the youngest female biotech CEO billionaire in history. Yeah. They're going to lose their minds. My phone buzzed. Then again. Then continuously. I looked at the screen. 47 missed calls. Over 100 texts. Mom, Emily, call me now. Mom, is this article real? Mom, why didn't you tell us? Dad, we need to talk immediately. Jason, what the fuck am? Jason, Victoria's parents are flipping out. Jason, call me right now. Aunt Linda, OMB Emily Forbes. Uncle Tom, can we talk investment opportunities? Cousin Mike, holy shit you're a billionaire? Rachel watched me scroll. Are you going to answer? Eventually. My phone rang. I declined it. It rang again immediately. Declined. Declined. It rang a fourth time. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Emily, darling. My mother's voice using someone else's phone. We've been trying to reach you. There's the most wonderful article about you in Forbes. Why didn't you tell us about your company? You told me I was between jobs. Well, yes, but that was 6 months ago. Surely you could have mentioned this little startup? The unicorn startup worth over $1 billion? Yes. We're all so proud. Everyone's here at brunch and we're celebrating. Victoria's parents are absolutely thrilled to hear about your success. The same Victoria who didn't want me at Christmas because I'd be uncomfortable around old money? Silence. Emily, that was a misunderstanding. No, Mom. It wasn't. You uninvited me because you were embarrassed of me. That's not. We were trying to protect you from feeling uncomfortable. I own a penthouse in Back Bay. I run a company with 200 employees. I have hospital contracts in 6 states. I made $43 million in revenue last year. What exactly would I be uncomfortable about? Emily, please. Everyone wants to see you. Victoria's parents are asking about you. Your father is so proud. Jason is excited to celebrate with you. Jason told his fiancée I was a failure. He didn't know. How could he know when you didn't tell us? I stopped telling you things when I was 19, Mom. Because every time I did, you dismissed it or changed the subject or made it about Jason. That's not fair. You threw Jason a party for 40 people when he got a $70,000 analyst job. We went to Applebee's when I graduated summa cum laude from MIT with patent applications worth millions. Emily. You had his $15,000 bonus framed. I earned $2.3 million from patent licensing and you told me I should find something more stable. We didn't understand. You didn't want to understand. There's a difference. Please come to brunch. Everyone's asking for you. Victoria's parents specifically want to meet you. This is important for Jason's future. And there was the real reason. This is about Jason's engagement. Victoria's family is very prominent, Emily. The Ashworths are old Boston. If they think our family isn't, if they're concerned that their daughter is marrying into a family where the successful one gets uninvited from Christmas? Another voice in the background. That I think. Then Mom said, your father wants to talk to you. Emily. Dad's voice was tight. This is serious. Victoria's father, Charles Ashworth, runs a $2 billion investment firm. This connection is crucial for Jason's career. If you could just come to brunch and smooth things over. Smooth what over exactly? Victoria's parents are upset that we didn't mention your accomplishments. Because you didn't know about them. Exactly. So come explain that to them. Help Jason out here. Help Jason out. I was uninvited from Christmas because I'd embarrass him. Nobody said that. Mom texted me. I still have it. Victoria is nervous about differences in lifestyle. We misunderstood the situation. You understood perfectly. You just got it backwards. You thought I was the poor one. Emily, please. Jason's engagement could be at risk here. I looked at Rachel who was watching me with wide eyes. Put Jason on the phone, I said, shuffling. Then Jason's voice. Hey. Listen, I'm sorry about the Christmas thing, okay? Victoria was stressed and I thought it would be easier if the failure sister didn't show up? I didn't say that. What did you say to Victoria about me, Jason? Silence. What did you tell her? I said you were going through a rough patch. Career-wise. And that you lived pretty simply. You told her I was unemployed and poor. I didn't say poor. What word did you use? More silence. Struggling, he finally said. I said you were struggling financially and it would be awkward for you to be around her family's wealth. I see. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know you were secretly running $1 billion company? Because I've been trying to tell you for 6 years. You just never listened. That's not fair. You never explicitly said. I told you about my VP position. Dad said it was unstable. I told you about my patent licensing. Mom changed the subject. I stopped trying to tell you things because you made it clear you weren't interested. Well, how was I supposed to know it was this successful? You could have asked. Once. In 6 years. You could have asked what I was working on instead of assuming I was failing. Victoria's voice in the background, sharp. Jason, my father wants to talk to her. Just come to brunch. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Jason. I'm exactly where I want to be. Merry Christmas. I hung up. Rachel stared at me. Holy shit. Yeah. What are you going to do? Enjoy my Christmas. My phone rang again. I turned it off. The rest of Christmas Day I spent offline. I turned off my phone, closed my laptop and watched old movies. Rachel stayed with me. She'd been uninvited from brunch too once everyone realized she was at my place instead of the family celebration. They're going to lose it when they realize I chose your side, she said, eating takeout Chinese food on my couch. You have a side? You've been my favorite cousin since we were kids. You helped me with college essays. You listened when I came out to my parents and they freaked. You gave me business advice when I started my marketing firm. She paused. You sent me a $50,000 check last year as investment capital when my firm was struggling. You paid it back. In 6 months with interest after you refused to take equity. You believed in me when my own parents called it a hobby. It wasn't a hobby. You're billing $400,000 a year now. Because of you. She looked at me seriously. So yeah, I'm on your side. Always. We watched Die Hard and ate dumplings. At 9 p.m. I turned my phone back on. 247 messages. 83 missed calls. I scrolled through the highlights. Aunt Linda. Emily, your Uncle Tom wants to invest in your company. Can you connect him with your CFO? Uncle Tom, looking at $500,000 investment. Let's talk terms. Cousin Mike. Bro, my friends want to know if we're related to the Emily Ashworth from Forbes. Mom. 47 messages, escalating from apologetic to desperate to angry. Dad, we need to discuss how this affects the family. Call me. Jason, Victoria's parents left. Her dad wants to reconsider the marriage. This is your fault. That last one made me pause. Rachel, look at this. She read it and snorted. His fault for lying about his own sister, but sure, blame you. The next message from Jason. Her dad said any man who would treat his accomplished sister that way has character deficiencies. They're postponing the engagement. Then, are you happy now? I stared at it for a long moment. I didn't tell you to lie about me. I didn't tell you to uninvite me. I didn't tell you to be embarrassed of your own sister. You did that. Jason, you could have told us about the company. I tried for 6 years. You weren't listening. Jason, one phone call. That's all it would have taken. One call to say, hey, I'm successful now. But you wanted this. You wanted to humiliate us. I wanted to have Christmas dinner with my family. You're the one who decided I wasn't good enough for your fiancé. Jason, this is going to ruin my career. Victoria's dad has connections everywhere. He's going to tell everyone I'm the guy who treated his billionaire sister like garbage. Then I guess you shouldn't have treated your sister like garbage. He didn't respond. Mom tried calling. I declined. She texted, Emily Marie Ashworth, you answer this phone right now. Then, you've embarrassed this entire family. Then, everyone is asking why we didn't know about your company. What am I supposed to tell them? I replied, tell them you weren't interested enough to ask. Mom, that's not fair. You actively hid this from us. I stopped sharing after you made it clear you didn't care. There's a difference. Mom, we've always cared. You uninvited me from Christmas because you thought I'd embarrass Jason. That's not caring. That's being ashamed. She stopped responding. Dad called. I let it go to voicemail. His message, Emily, we need to talk about boundaries. You can't just cut off your family because of one misunderstanding. We're your parents. You owe us at least a conversation. I deleted it without responding. The thing about owing people. I'd spent 6 years trying to have conversations, trying to share my work, trying to be seen. They weren't interested then. I didn't owe them anything now. The week after Christmas, things got interesting. Forbes article went viral. Over 2 million views. My LinkedIn exploded with connection requests. 14,000 in 1 week. News outlets requested interviews. Harvard Business School wanted me for a case study. My family's response evolved through several stages. Stage 1. Denial, days 1 to 2. This must be exaggerated. Forbes probably inflated the numbers. Billion-dollar valuation doesn't mean she has $1 billion. Stage 2. Justification, days 3 to 4. We were protecting her from pressure. She clearly wanted privacy. How could we have known? Stage 3. Rewriting history, days 5 to 7. We always knew she was brilliant. We supported her education. The family has always encouraged her success. Stage 4. Demanding access, week 2. This is when it got messy. Uncle Tom sent a formal investment proposal through his lawyer. I had my lawyer respond that we weren't accepting individual investors at this time. Aunt Linda asked if Meridian Diagnostics would sponsor her charity event. I politely declined. Cousin Mike started telling people he was my business advisor. I had my PR team issue a statement clarifying that was false. And then Mom and Dad showed up at my office. Marcus called me from reception. Your parents are here. They don't have an appointment. Tell them I'm unavailable. They're saying it's a family emergency. I sighed. Conference room B, 10 minutes. I brought Marcus and David, my lawyer. If this was going to be a conversation about money or access, I wanted witnesses. Mom and Dad were waiting when I walked in. Mom's eyes were red. Dad looked like he hadn't slept. Was the lawyer necessary? Dad asked, eyeing David. This is a place of business, I said calmly. Marcus is my CEO. David is my general counsel. They attend meetings. This is a family matter, Mom said. Then we should have had it at a family gathering. Like Christmas. Oh wait. She flinched. Dad cleared his throat. Emily, we're here because we want to make things right. Okay. We realize we made mistakes. We should have been more attentive to your career. We should have asked more questions. Okay. And we want to move forward. As a family. What does that look like? They exchanged glances. Dad continued. Your mother and I have been thinking. You've built something extraordinary, but you're still young. You need guidance. Family support. I have an advisory board. They provide guidance. I meant family guidance. I'd like to join your board. I have 40 years of experience in finance. I could provide valuable insights as you scale. I stared at him. You want a board seat? I think it would strengthen the company to have family involvement. The company is already strong. Emily, Mom interjected. Don't you see how this looks? Your own parents not involved in your business? People are asking questions. What people? Our friends. The club. Everyone wants to know why we're not part of Meridian. And there was. So this isn't about supporting me, I said slowly. This is about you being embarrassed that your friends know you had no idea your daughter ran a unicorn company. That's not what we're saying. That's exactly what you're saying. Dad leaned forward. Emily, be reasonable. We're your parents. We raised you. We paid for your education. You paid for 4 years at MIT. Tuition plus room and board. Approximately $280,000. I've already set aside $500,000 in a trust for both of you as repayment with interest. David can provide the details. David slid 2 folders across the table. Mom opened hers, stunned. You're paying us back? I'm ensuring there's no confusion about debt or obligation. We don't want your money, Dad said, but he didn't push the folder away. Good. Then we're clear. You invested $280,000 in my education. I'm returning $500,000. We're settled. Emily, this is absurd. We're your family. You're my parents. There's a difference. What's that supposed to mean? I stood up. Family shows up. Family listens. Family celebrates your successes instead of dismissing them. Family doesn't uninvite you from Christmas because you might embarrass the golden child. We've apologized for that. No, you haven't. You've explained it. Justified it. Rewritten it. But you haven't actually apologized. Silence. I'm not angry, I continued. I'm not even hurt anymore. I'm just done pretending we have a relationship we don't have. So that's it. Mom's voice broke. You're cutting us off? I'm not cutting you off. I'm just not pretending anymore. You're not interested in my life. You're interested in my success now that it's public and impressive. That's not the same thing. That's not fair. Mom, Dad, I love you, but I don't need you. I don't need your guidance or your board seats or your involvement. I built this without you. I'll continue without you. I walked to the door, then paused. If you ever actually want to know me, not CEO me, not billionaire me, just me, you have my number. But if you call asking for money, access, or board seats, I won't answer. I left them sitting there. 3 months later, Forbes published a follow-up piece. Where are they now? The 30 under 30. The reporter asked about my family. We're working on our relationship, I said diplomatically. Building a company requires focus. Sometimes that means setting boundaries. Your brother's engagement was called off. Do you have any comment? I wish Jason well. He's a talented analyst. I hope he finds happiness. And your parents? I smiled. They're very proud. We talk occasionally. What I didn't tell the reporter. We'd talked twice since the office confrontation. Once when Mom called to say she'd read the Forbes article and finally understood what I'd built. Once when Dad called on my birthday. The conversations were brief. Polite. Distant. Jason and I hadn't spoken at all. But Rachel came to every company event. She brought her wife. They celebrated when we opened our 10th state. They were at the ribbon cutting for our new headquarters. Sarah and Marcus threw me a birthday party at my penthouse. 50 people, co-founders, employees, investors, friends who'd believed in me when I was sleeping on an office couch. Not one family member was there. And I was okay with that. Because I'd learned something important. You can't force people to see you. You can't make them value you. You can't demand they celebrate you. All you can do is build something extraordinary and surround yourself with people who recognize it. I'd found my family. They just weren't the ones I was born into. Meridian Diagnostics went public. IPO price, $42 per share. First day close, $67 per share. My 72% ownership translated to $3.7 billion. Forbes called again. Thoughts on becoming a billionaire? I was already a billionaire on paper. This just makes it liquid. What's next? We're expanding to 15 new states. Developing next-generation devices for cardiac markers. Opening a research facility focused on early Alzheimer's detection. And personally, I'm buying a house on the Cape. Maybe getting a dog. Family. I paused. I have a great family. My team. My friends. The people who believed in me from the beginning. Not your biological family? We're cordial. We exchange cards on holidays. That's enough. The reporter pushed. Do you ever regret how things unfolded? The Christmas revelation. No, I said honestly. I regret that they needed me to be publicly successful before they valued me. But I don't regret showing them who I really am. Any final advice for young entrepreneurs from family situations similar to yours? I thought about it carefully. Build something so extraordinary they can't ignore it. Not for them, for you. And when they finally notice, when they finally want to be part of it, remember, you're not obligated to share your success with people who didn't support your struggle. Forgiveness is optional. Boundaries are essential. And chosen family is just as valid as biological family, sometimes more so. The article ran with a photo of me in our new research facility, surrounded by my team. The headline, From Uninvited to Unstoppable, Emily Ashworth's billion-dollar vindication. Mom texted, saw the article. It's beautiful. You look happy. I didn't respond. Because I was happy. And I'd learned that was enough.